boys. You ready?
Yep.
Guys and gals, we are back again for another edition of the Truman Lake Fishing Intel Roundtable. It is mid-September. We just had a great dinner thanks to Nini's Italian Steakhouse and Catering. Fantastic food tonight. You can find them down in Warsaw, Missouri. And if you are a member of the website, go in there, show them your account page, and you can get a free appetizer. Big thank you to them. Check them out. We want to thank Anglers Port Marine for helping to make these videos possible every single month. Anglers Port Marine for your Phoenix, Camus, and low boat lines. Tons of people going to Anglers Port Marine. They just recently announced a new incentive for the Anglers in Action Tournament Trail next year. They're going to add, if you win one of the Anglers in Action events, Anglers Port is going to match the $10,000 first place prize. So you get $10,000 for winning an Anglers in Action event. Anglers Port is going to kick in another $10,000
if you're in their boat.
If you're in their boat, and it's got to be 2 years or newer.
Yep.
And if you're fishing out of a Phoenix, there's incentive money with a lot of the brands, but
some of the incentive money equal more than the payout of the tournament.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, extremely. So big thanks to Anglers Port Marine. Check them out. A lot of the Truman Lake Fishing Intel guys are fishing out of a boat from Anglers Port Marine. Great folks down there. They'll take care of you. Like I said, we're here in mid-September. I am joined by a great crew tonight. We have the Bowling Boys and Uncle Jeff. We got Hunter Bowling on my far left. Richard Bowling, the Crappie King, as we all know. Jeff Falconberry. And special guest tonight, hopefully more to come in the future, Sean Bowling, who also helps dear old dad out on Truman Lake. But Sean also gets into some bass fishing as well with Darren Langford. Darren Langford was going to be here tonight, but he's got to do some practicing for the Toyota Series coming up later this week. David Ryan is out practicing for the Toyota Series. This is perhaps the biggest tournament coming to Truman in the last couple of decades.
A lot of years, yes.
Going to be major TV coverage. A lot of video going on, some pretty big names from across the country that'll be fishing Truman Lake. We're really hoping to see a couple of our Truman Lake Fishing Intel guys make it to day 3. The way it works, you have your first 2 days, you got to qualify, and then they take top 25 on day 3, I believe.
Yep.
And so we're really pulling for those guys and some of the locals here to show all those pros that are traveling all over how it's done here on Truman Lake. So we're going to get into that. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk bass fishing. We're going to talk crappie fishing, cat fishing, tips and tricks, and we're kind of coming into that fall transition. So we're going to go into that. We've had some questions come in about, what are these crappie going to start doing as the water temperature starts dropping? We're seeing those 80-degree daytime temperatures, and all of a sudden those low 60s, 50-degree nighttime temperatures here in the last 4 or 5 days. I think we got another warm-up coming, though.
It's supposed to be 92 the first of the next week.
We got deer season coming up on Thursday. We got a lot to talk about. So stay tuned. For all of you that are watching this right now, that are seeing this on YouTube, on Facebook, just out on the interwebs, this whole video is going to be about an hour, hour and a half long. We do this every single month where we get together with the guys and we just talk fishing and tell stories about Truman Lake. And a lot of our members think this is their favorite part about what we do. A lot of knowledge gets shared, and it's a really good time. So if you are not a member already, go check out TrumanLakeFishingIntel.com, sign up to be a member, and you will get access to every single Truman Lake Roundtable that we've ever done in the last 2.5 years. There's a lot of them, and they're really great. So with that, let's start to talk some fishing. Jeff, we'll start with you with the catfish because I think we're going to spend most of the time on crappie and bass tonight. You've been chasing some catfish here in the last week. It has been okay. Has it been good? What's kind of the general storyline here?
Oh, yeah, it's been pretty good. I'm not great,
yeah,
but it's been good. Definitely worth going. The lake is set at a certain level for a long time, and a lot of times, and I know these guys will agree, we usually talk about consistency is key. On this lake being a flood control impoundment, it adds variables aside from Mother Nature, whether it be lake level, water coming in, water going out, whatever. And we've set it at this 704.5 range for a long time now. And, you can still catch a lot of fish with the lake being low. Of course, we talk about when it gets real high in a flood, all the fish spread out. When it gets real low, it condenses things, and that's what it's done to the catfish, essentially. They're not really cruising out a whole lot. They're hanging in these ditches and on structure. The water temperature's starting to fall. The quality of the fish is good. The numbers is okay.
Yeah.
But a lot of good quality fish.
Yeah.
I had a trip out this morning. We had 3 overs just real quick. We had some slot fish that were just right there being over. But what we noticed today was the fish are starting to get that fall feeling. Those post-spawn sored up males that are real skinny and fins are all beat up. We're not seeing that now. We're starting to see these fish where their heads and their bodies start to match and they get real round and chunky and beefy and they pull you over string. I mean, we had 3 fish today, all over 20 pounds, and I mean they just like to flatboard these guys out, and it's a lot of fun.
Now, you've been over in the Tebow, you've been in the Grand, you fished shallow water, you fished some deeper water. Is there a particular pattern that seems to be honing in on if you want to go catch some fish? That's kind of, I know you said numbers is kind of a struggle right now, but if folks are looking for that, is there a particular pattern that you've seen that lines up better for that?
Well, it's all about chasing bait right now, and the bait's moving around just like every other fish. But the bait is all condensing, whether it be if on a windy day, which we hadn't had any wind until recently. Mm-hmm. Last week it was just flat every day, just flat, and that's not good. If you're a noodle fisherman, it's really good. Those fish come to the surface, you see shad and gar, buffalo and carp, and everything's up on the top, and you can set those noodles a foot deep and just wear them slick. But for rod and reel fishing, we were dragging baits all last week. We caught some of our biggest fish dragging baits and covering water, or drifting, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, I've been on the lower Osage. I've been on the lower Tebow. I've been on the upper Grand and the lower Grand, all within the last 2-week period.
Yeah.
And you can catch fish everywhere, but some places you catch bigger fish and not as many, and other places, the guys are catching a lot of fish on the lower lake, but they're all, guide fish, little eaters that people come. I mean, they're good eating fish, but if you want to catch a big one, you're probably not, when you're in those fish, you're probably not going to get a good one in there.
Yeah. Is finding bait,
it's everywhere.
Okay.
It's stupid. The amount of shad in this lake it's what makes it what it is.
Yeah. I know we talk about a lot, like Bucksaw most of the days, you can go put your boat in and just putz right by the marina, see bait everywhere, catch your bait that you need.
It's all over. I mean, it's in every arm. And it's funny because sometimes of the year, we'll go to places and we'll be like, man, there's no shad, like they don't exist. In February and March and the first part of April on the Upper Grand, you could not find a shad. Whether you were catfishing, crappie fishing, whatever, you couldn't find the shad. And then now they're everywhere, and some of them are 1.5 pounds. They're big.
Yeah. Well, that's really a really good update. Now, what do you expect moving forward? Because it is going to get hot again. We talk about the consistency. When is it going to get really good, and when do tactics need to change, if at all?
That water temperature gets down below 70, and especially when it gets close to what I call the 50-degree feed bags. But when it gets below 70, it'll start picking up speed. It'll start getting really good. When it gets down around that 50 mark, you better have room in the freezer.
Yeah.
So if you're keeping fish.
Yeah.
But when that water gets down around the 50s, just like everything else, whether you're bass fishing, catfishing, crappie fishing, when it gets to the 50s, they're going to be.
Now, will you be moving up into the creeks a little bit more? Or?
No, we'll actually go do some main lake channel edge fishing.
Okay.
And even some of the big lake and even some deeper water.
Okay.
But when it gets down to that 50-degree mark, they'll bunch up real good. You won't have to move around near as much. You'll find a spot if you're getting bit, just stay there. Mm-hmm. Right now, I'll pull into a place and we may catch 8 or 10 pretty quick, and then nothing. You sit for 30 minutes and not get bit. And you go hit another spot, as soon as you get the rods out, boom, 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 boom. You catch 4 or 5, and nothing.
Yep.
And you got to pick up and you got to move on again. You can drag baits and catch them, and the noodle guys are still catching them. But that's a game of odds, because the noodle guys are always going to be catching them, because any flat on Truman Lake's got 400 noodles on it.
Mm-hmm. Right. Well, that's a really good update. Do you expect, what kind of water temperature are you guys seeing here recently?
I snapped you a picture this morning when I put my boat in and everything got
Yeah.
acclimated, because sometimes people drop in, they're like, oh gosh, look at that. It's because it was on a trailer.
Yeah, right.
But when I put my boat in this morning at 68 degrees on the surface and warmed up to 72.
Okay. So upper 60s, low 70s. We might see a little bit of a warm up, I guess, later this week with higher daytime temperatures, but it's on the fall because, just last week it was upper 70s, low 80s still. And I think on the lower end, they're still seeing low 80s pretty frequently.
We're seeing evidence of that fall turnover. If we could get a rain, if we could get a good 2-inch rain, it'd get on through. Right now we're seeing globs of the algae and all the stuff that's starting to come up off the bottom and release as the lake turns over. If we could get one good rain, it'd flip and be done. But right now it's just dragging out this turnover.
Yeah.
It started earlier than normal, because usually we're about the third week of September we start seeing that green and brown streak, and you start seeing that stuff come up. And it started early, but since we've maintained at a same lake level and we've had the same weather and it's been exceptionally warm, it started early, and so now it's still in that cycle. If we could get a 2-inch rain, it'd change the world.
Yeah. Well, and I haven't looked at the forecast. I don't think we're getting a 2-inch.
Nothing till mid next
anytime
week.
soon.
Mid next week.
Yeah.
That's a long ways out.
Yeah. Food plots aren't going to be doing too good. So, it's a great update on the catfish. And let's kind of shift gears into crappie and spend some time on crappie, because, it was a couple weeks ago when you and I went out, and it was, we called it a fair bite for a lot of folks coming that don't have live scope. It probably would have been complete.
Terrible.
Yeah. It was like 1 out of 10 fish biting, but it's been a couple weeks since then, and sounds like things have really turned around.
It's got a lot better. Last 3 days I've noticed the water temp when I quit on my second trip today was 75. That's the Upper Grand Main Lake, and you drop on 1 out of 3 would eat.
Yeah.
And sometimes all 3 in a row would eat, but on average about 1 out of 3. So it's gotten better every single day now. And I'm gonna be gone a week for the Nationals. I'm gonna miss some really good fishing.
Yeah, you guys are going to be gone all next week, and it's going to be a long, we were talking about that earlier at dinner, it's going to be a long day for Darren if he makes it to the championship on Saturday of the Toyota Series. You, Hunter, and Darren, you guys are leaving that night.
Yep, I got crappie tournament that day, and he may have that bass tournament.
So how many tournaments? There's like 7 or 8 tournaments this weekend?
That was
3 of them pretty good size.
Yeah. Have you heard how big Compass Health is going to be?
I'll be there for the meeting Friday night.
Yeah.
And then I'll be there for obviously the weigh-ins.
Yeah. So we got the Toyota Series, which we talked about earlier. We're going to have some coverage of that. The Compass Health Big Fish Bright Future Tournament is going on this weekend as well. I don't think it's too late to sign up.
I think you can sign up Friday night at the meeting.
Yeah. It is, so Compass Health is a nonprofit here in town. They do, well, my wife, Sammy, is one of their dentists, and the proceeds that are raised through this tournament go directly to their traveling bus. And Sammy is the traveling dentist on this bus, goes to all these kids around the area, underprivileged or just situations where they can't go to a dentist because their parents can't take them or whatever. Insurance reasons. So this bus goes to them at school, and they're able to leave school for a little bit of time during the day. They get seen, and that's what these proceeds are for. It's really, really cool. So be sure to check that out. We've posted about it on the website at TrumanLakeFishingIntel.com. CompassHealthNetwork.org has info on their events page.
It's a crappie and bass.
Yeah.
It's a good one to fish. I fished it the last several years. If you win a little money, donate it back, keep it, whatever. But it's a good one to fish.
Right. So anyway.
Are you fishing it?
I got to fish a different one.
Which one are you fishing?
It's Redford Destruction deal. It's out of Longshore.
You might have made too much money, too, this year.
Probably.
In crappie
It's been kind of a rough year.
They do have some stipulation, if you make so much in tournament winnings, because they try to, they want everybody to come fish it, but they want it to be a good, fair shake at it, and so there is some rules, but Hunter, he makes that money.
Yeah, he does. Speaking of, so you've been fishing these tournaments, Hunter. What's the big fish bite been like on the big old crappie? I know you had the Truman Lake Tournament Series. You've been in tournaments here the last several weeks.
Yeah.
Fill me in on what you've been seeing, how it's progressed, and
Man, from what I've been up there, the spots that normally have the fish in it, through the end of summer, going into fall, get up in the ditches, the fish aren't there. Like me and my partner went out Monday and we hardly caught any crappie.
Mhm.
Well, watching Dad bring all these big fish in, cleaning every day, you kind of asked him some questions.
where are they going? Are they getting clean?
He was catching, yeah, they're but,
We have turned a few loose.
we fished that tournament Saturday, and Dad kind of gave us some intel, like fishing deeper water.
Mm-hmm.
So we fished honestly a spot I never would have even think about fishing the channel,
Mhm.
up in that upper end, and everywhere you'd go in that deeper water, you'd see good fish. They honestly been very good for us. We just never seen the great big crappie that we needed to see. Towards the end of the day, we decided to run around and fish the ditches like we should. It got a little warmer, and we ended up calling a lot of fish doing that, but. It's just a different bite.
Yeah.
They're not loaded up like they should be, and I don't know. It's kind of aggravating.
Yeah.
We got a bunch more tournaments in October. I think we got 2 more, so hopefully he'll get right by then.
Yeah. Now, we talk about these ditches a lot, and we've got a lot of new members this year, and there might be some folks that have seen us talking about ditches, and what the heck do we mean by ditches?
Up there, like Watermelon or Otter Creek to Sparrowfoot, Cooper Creek, all that. It's basically a big flat,
Mm-hmm.
and some of them ditches up there, I just look for tree rows basically, and then it may be 1 foot of water difference, and that makes all the difference in the world.
So it's just a depth change in the middle of the
It
flat.
makes a difference.
It's not necessarily a creek channel.
No, not at all. Not at all. I mean, just 1 little foot would make a huge difference.
Yeah, and you can identify these, A, by looking at the maps on your graph.
Right.
B, you can physically see them when you look up at the bank
Right.
and those little cuts.
Right.
I mean, you guys are looking for those as well, correct?
And a lot of times you just see a tree row.
Yeah.
If you see a black stump, a lot of times that's going to be a ditch.
Yeah,
Okay.
one side might be 3 foot, the other side be 10 foot,
Okay.
stuff like that.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay, so you guys had, what did you guys finish with on Saturday? 11 something on?
No, we had 10:04.
10:04.
10:04, yeah.
And you guys finished what, 4th, 5th place?
I think fifth or
Fifth.
sixth, somewhere in there.
Okay.
Yeah.
There was a team that brought in close to 13
I
pounds.
think they had 1278, I believe. They had a 199 big fish.
Yeah.
That's
And
a good fish.
I know we were talking about it earlier, and I know other tournament folks that day were talking about it. The fish didn't look like upper grand fish.
I'm gonna say Osage.
Yeah.
I was gonna guess.
Yeah. And the reason, so if you guys go on Truman Lake Tournament Series Facebook page and you look at the pictures of these fish, you'll see the defined pattern on these fish.
Very clean, yeah, like cleaner water fish, like the Osage. would
Yeah.
be.
And that's in the cleaner water, that's what happens. Now in the dirty water,
That's
they
why it's
lose
that
they lose their pattern.
Yep.
And I don't really know what's
They
the
don't get no sunlight.
yeah. Okay.
They don't need no camouflage.
Well, yeah, that's what I kind of figured. Part of it was that as well, that that pattern plays into the clear water
Right.
camouflage type of deal. So, so what's the deal then, Richard? On here we are. It's middle of September. When are these crappie going to be making a big transition, and what are they going to do once they leave the flats? And I know you said you're finding them in the channel too,
Yeah,
a little bit.
and that's not where they should be right now.
Yeah.
This I figured out about 2 weeks ago, and I just kind of fine tuned it. And I've got several places on the lake it's working right now. I can get up in these ditches right now, like Otter Creek Flat. Them little ditches, you can see a little pocket going back in, and if there's a little pocket, there's a ditch.
Mm-hmm.
And then fish will migrate up there, and they're feeding on them shad right now. And I think it's a lot of it to do with no wind. We've had no wind. Now all these fish have pulled out the numbers of fish, and they're along them channel edges. It don't even have to be a channel swing. It can be a straight line edge of the channel, and they're thick. Pulling into the spot today that I haven't fished in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
I just out of the wind pulled into it, put the live scope in. I said, boys, don't even get up yet. I want to look at this. And when the live scope and it's some of your all's buddies, shine that live scope, and his big limb hung out over the channel. And it looked like little Christmas balls. But I said, okay, boys, let's go. And we never went more than 10 yards in an hour and a half.
And where was it at?
I can't tell you.
This was the famous bobber tree.
Probably.
Well, he's a long ways from here.
Okay.
But these fish what they should be doing now is moving off the flat part of the flat getting along these ditches on these flats, and usually up here in 5, 6, 7 foot of water, it's easy.
Yeah.
They're not there right now, and it's going to be a while. Water's got to cool off more. They'll make their. Right now, they pulled out. They're against the channel, and when the water starts dropping more, they're going to pull up in there. And they're going to sit there for till November, early December, maybe even. Then they'll come back out channel edges. Then they'll make their move to the. There'll be a bunch of fish in the creeks, of course, there is right now, but they're not the quality of fish. Then they'll go to the bluffs. So, right now, just channel edges, especially up to the upper end.
Now, are these channel edges? These are main lake channel edges. These aren't creek channel edges. Like
Right. Now,
you're not getting back into a big long creek.
I did go in Otter Creek yesterday. Everybody's, I seen 8 or 10 boats see me in there, and we got our limits in there. But I had to hunt and peck, to get our limits to fish, and we did by noon. But main lake stuff right now has got, some of the trees got 50 fish on them.
Yeah.
And good fish.
Are they schooling up like that in the upper Grand too, or is that mostly lower Grand?
That's where I was upper Grand.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't like that a month or so ago.
So you see one here and one there, and you drop on 10 and catch one.
Yeah.
Right now, if you make good drops, then here's the deal: you got to you can't just baby it to them. You can't feather it to them. You want to drop on them, shock them almost, reaction bite, get their attention. Then you'll see them wiggle.
Yeah.
If they wiggle, they're caught.
Yeah.
They'll wiggle and they'll actually drop down a little bit, poke their head up, and come and eat it.
Yeah.
It's there it is in my face. I'm gonna eat it. And
Yeah.
that's what it is right now.
Got it. And you said you think about 1 out of 3 fish, compared to like when we were out a couple weeks ago, 1 out of 10 maybe we're eating.
I guarantee
It's
you.
more like 1 out of 3 right now. There's a lot more aggressiveness to it.
Yeah, and every day's gonna be better. These cool nights is gonna help a lot.
Yeah.
If you're good at dropping a quick drop on them, you'll catch 1 out of 2 right now.
See, in our tournament, I feel like, and we're only using jigs, I feel like we caught most of the fish we dropped on.
That's making a good drop.
What kind of jigs and colors are you throwing?
I used an all white little 32nd ounce hair jig.
Yeah.
My partner used a 3-inch Bobby Garland, and they bit both.
Darren was showing me those rod knocker jigs that look kind of interesting. Have you used those
I
at all?
played around with them a little bit. Darren gets all kinds of crazy colors and everything. Gets all wound up. I just use my plain old white jig.
I didn't know anybody still fished a 3-inch Bobby Garland. I thought everybody went teeny tiny.
Yeah.
That's how me and my buddy won our last tournament from using that.
The big jig?
Big jig. Couldn't get the fish to bite. We switched to a big 3-inch bait, and they bit.
Huh. I was over on that's telling you about some of the fish I was catching around Long Shoal. I don't remember what day it was last week, but I had those over on, I put it in Windsor Crossing.
Yeah.
And the water's really low. And start at the bridge, and as long as you stayed in that channel, them crappie were all the way up around the bend. I mean, there'd be 3 together or 5 together or 1 or 2 or whatever, and you could catch every single one of them. And
So you think it's because no wind, you said? Or the lake turned out, or what?
I've never seen it before. I've never ever in my life seen it do this year. It's almost like they're backwards what they should be doing.
Right.
They should have went up there, then come out here. They'll get up there. It's going to happen.
How'd you find this? Were you on a flat and you're putzing out to the main channel to put the trolling motor up and go to your next spot and you saw a fish? Or how did you find the fish that were just out here in the main channel? Because you said they were literally in the channel.
I had it about 5 days in a row on a channel, and I fished a mile of it. If you look at my graph, it looked like you painted it. I'm in the middle of that channel up there. And, let a fish tell you what they want and what to do. So I started early, up the ditches, and I'm seeing the fish and the fish and the fish. It's kind of slow. But the closer I got to that deep water, then it's more fish.
Mm-hmm.
So I just kept going up through there, and then pretty soon I shined out there. And you got to, if you're in the upper end, and I got buddies that tell you, got to be pretty good with a live scope to understand that that's a guard, that's a carp, that's a buffalo, that's spoonbill, whatever. Because them crappie, and I've seen it a lot this week, and we've caught a bunch of them. Big old gar sit out in the channel, and a crappie be right underneath this rear end, just sitting there like it's using it for structure.
Yeah.
And if you drop on that crappie, you're going to catch it every time. The guard don't even move.
Mm-hmm.
But I just followed them out there, and boom, there's one, and they'd be like 3 or 4 in the scope at the same time. So I just stayed with it.
Yeah. Interesting. Sean, you said you did a trip with your dad here recently. That was a crappie trip?
Yep, it was a crappie.
What's the story on, like, when you guys are doing a trip, and I guess this goes for you too, Hunter, and you're helping dear old dad out, is there any kind of, like, competition where you're like, you know what, I'm going over here, Dad's going over here, and I got to beat him back to the dock with all the fish. Is that?
I mean, that's the
is there?
goal.
Is there?
But if you play your cards right and you come in about 10 minutes after him, then he'll help you clean your fish. That works out pretty good.
I don't have to very often.
But our goal is always to try to match Dad.
Yeah, yeah.
And much beat. But,
We've learned to not fish next to him either because
yeah.
he'll put a spank on it and you kind of look dumb. You know? So it's like, don't fish next to Dad.
And if you cut him off, then he won't ask you to help again.
Right. Funny. Okay.
I learned that trick a long time ago.
Oh yeah.
Spear, you go in, they be like, dang, Richard had 45s. Like, yeah, they went to the Deadwater Channel.
Spider rigging.
Yeah. So, Sean, you do crappie trips, guide trips. Will you guide bass as well, or is that not something you have started yet, or
Not
planning on doing?
as much. I prefer crappie.
Yeah.
'Cause with the bass, it's a lot harder
Yeah.
to get on them and pattern them.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, when we're fishing these bass tournaments, especially fishing with Darren, we'll go up there and he'll say, okay, we're going to hopefully have 5 keeper bites all day.
Mm-hmm.
So if you fish that lower end, you get into some Kentuckys and stuff and you'll get into more fish. But when we start fishing upper end, dirtier water, then the numbers just aren't there
Yeah.
as often. Or the patterns that we fish.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't like fishing the same tournament water over
Yeah.
and over and over again.
Yeah. Right. Now, you've been bass fishing with Darren. Is this the first year that you've been fishing with Darren?
Yeah.
And how's that experience been, getting to be with Darren? And
It's been really good.
Yeah.
I've learned a lot.
yeah.
But you fished several years before there.
Yeah, I fished a lot of years before with a buddy that worked
Yeah,
at
yeah.
Everhart's. And I was going to take a break this year. But then Darren's partner decided he couldn't fish a bunch of tournaments, so he asked me to fish. And when we won that first one, I was like, well, we
Yeah.
got the money now to just keep going with it.
That's right. That was the World Fishing Tour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are,
And that was a pretty nice little. That was a pretty nice little payday for
That's a
you.
pretty cool one.
Yeah.
I like to show the check off to my brother. Darren a little struggling to show the crappie side.
Yeah.
I'm trying. When was that? Was that in June?
That was the 1st of May.
That was 1st of May.
Yeah.
So if you guys go back, World Fishing Tour, there's a picture of Sean and Darren with this big.
It's a pretty
Giant.
cool check.
$100,000 check.
It's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
yeah,
Real
yeah,
nice.
yeah,
How much was it?
It was 10,000.
Yeah.
Split that.
yeah. Nice.
I didn't get my part.
I didn't see no sponsorship.
Trust me, I hear about it from Darren all the time.
What? So you've been bass fishing a while in Truman. Toyota Series coming up this week. What's kind of your go-to when you've been fishing with Brandon, and what's your guys' game plan in the past been? What would you be doing this week if you were going to go out chasing bass? Would you be up in that dirty water, or would you be down lower end?
I mean, there's a bite both ways. We saw 2 tournaments ago. It took 22 pounds
Yeah.
on Truman. And that's a heck of a sack of fish on this lake.
Yeah.
And those guys were fishing lower end, brush piles all day.
Mm-hmm.
And then those same guys turn around this last tournament and had like 13 pounds in the same thing.
Yeah.
So it's finding what you're comfortable with and then trying to get a pattern on the fish.
Yeah.
But if you fish the lower end of the lake, you're probably going to catch a lot more fish in the upper end. But it's just the risk reward there. And there's going to be so many boats.
Yeah.
It's finding where they're not and find that little niche of a pattern that
Well,
other people don't find.
that might come into play pretty big time because not only with, I mean, it's especially if you've been on Truman Lake fishing until you know a lot of the fishing reports on bass are coming from the lower end because that's where the numbers are.
Yep.
But I mean, especially this weekend with all the tournament pressure, and we were talking about it with Darren in a video here a couple days ago. You know, those guys that can figure out getting off the beaten path compared to everybody else might be the ones that pull it off.
Well, another thing is if you look at where all the tournaments are, everything now is on that lower end of the lake. That's where all the fish are released. So someone's going to find a pattern.
Release
down
fish,
there.
release fish, release.
Yeah,
Mhm.
someone's
One
gonna,
of many
someone's gonna
tournaments.
find them, and they may not win, but they're gonna catch a good check off
Yeah.
of it.
Long Shoal, Sterritt Creek. Long Shoal, Sterritt Creek. Long Shoal, Sterritt Creek.
I was talking to a guy who's very well connected and has significant involvement with the development of Truman Lake and big time fisherman. He says that the record 5-pound bag limit was in a tournament on Truman was 30 some odd, 37
Back in the
ish.
Believe that.
Does that sound
I think it used to hang in Bucksall's Lodge,
okay?
I remember that. Yeah.
Now,
Upper Grand.
so yeah, well, and he talked about Fred Barracks on the cut through island.
Oh yeah.
bringing in a stringer of like 8-pounders.
Marvin Deckard.
Yeah.
I mean, they used to weigh 28 pounds
Yeah.
regular.
Yep.
Regular.
Yep. Yeah, he was telling me a story about Jared McCutcheon came in with a stringer 28 pounds and was like, oh yeah, we're getting this thing done. And these guys brought in 37 pounds. Now, what he told me was that in the development of the lake, there was a few spots where a bunch of trees got cleared and there was a bunch of sycamore trees under the water that got put up in a pile. And they may have done it. There was some private land or something where there was a strip pit that was going to get flooded, and they put these sycamore trees piled up between the strip pit and the lake, and then the lake came up and was over the sycamores. And the sycamores there was some big bass
They don't float.
hunting around the sycamores.
Sycamore wood don't float.
Yeah.
So you don't really have to
And
anchor.
you know, a lot of the big bass early like that, they was coming out of them strip pits and
Yeah.
ponds and stuff.
Yeah. But sycamore trees, which, we see a lot of hedge,
Yep.
oak. Where's all the sycamores? In the lake.
Well, have to go up there and cut one and bring it in.
Yeah.
They don't float.
Yeah. So that's kind of interesting. So, Sean, this week, let's just imagine that you were competing in the Toyota Series. And I know it's a freaking, I don't know, what is it, 140, 150 boats, I think.
42, I think, entered right now.
What now? And also, let's think about, let's hypothetical a couple situations. Co-angler side and the angler side. If say you're the guy running the boat, what would you be doing?
My style of fishing,
Yeah.
these fish are about ready to start moving bait really good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. One, I'll be flipping, and two, throwing a crankbait. Those are my two things. If you're one of those early boats and get on top water bite, or if it's cloudy most of the day, that early morning top water bite will be really good. But if you're one of those later boats and the sun gets up early on you, and it's going to get to flipping and throwing a crankbait a lot, I think.
Yeah.
And it all depends on the time that the bait moves up, too. If that bait doesn't get up, and that moving bait hasn't been as good for us.
Yeah.
It's been a lot more flipping, tight to structure.
Yeah. I haven't really heard of a lot of folks doing great on a moving bait here recently. But, I mean, who knows? That could change in a matter of days.
That last tournament, Darren caught 2 on a crankbait.
Yeah.
They were both short fish. The first spot we stopped on just a little main lake flat, just a bunch of little bitty sticks on it.
Mm-hmm.
I bet he caught 4 bass and 4 flips and probably 25 on that flat.
Oh, my gosh.
Not much for size, but
Yeah.
when you're around that many fish, usually you catch a good one or two. And he caught 3 decent keepers out of it. But
Yeah.
if you're busy with the net, you don't get a rod.
I know Darren told me Saturday, so there'll be a crankbait in his hand.
I think spinnerbait would be really good too.
That's...
I would say I'm going to speak from the co-angler side, but if I was a co-angler, what I would do is cast past the nose of the boat a lot.
Yeah.
One time anyway.
Yeah.
You go.
Yeah. Yep.
I'd say the flipping is probably going to be top water, and flipping it would be if it was me, and I'm not much of a bass fisher.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like the big worm has really been kind of the dealio.
Yeah,
So
it's been really good. And with this, with this weather being as hot as it's going to be this weekend, that could carry right over into this weekend. It could be phenomenal still.
yeah.
And they may just go down to that little 7-inch worm as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
It'd be phenomenal, but it's just going to be going out and find that right pattern.
Yeah.
As far as a co-angler, and I've done some talking with Darren. He was trying to get me to fish it, but I didn't want to fork out that much money
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah.
But he said that he's watched a number of co-anglers on his boat, and they'll pull out the little finesse worms, finesse this, finesse
Ned
that.
rigs.
And he says the ones that do the best are usually finding whatever the primary boater's doing. They'll do something different, but still throwing a big bait. And those are the ones that usually make it to the championship day.
Yeah.
Because you got to have that on a co-angler side. If you're going to win it, probably 12 pounds will get you in each day, and then you're
Yeah.
going to have a 15-pound day though,
Yeah.
because there will be a bunch of co-anglers outfish anglers.
Yeah.
Primary boaters.
Yeah. The Ned rig, the short one, can be really good.
Oh,
Truman
yeah.
Lake. But they make that oversized one. Although if you're gonna fish a Ned rig, you gotta have the weedless hook.
Yeah.
I mean, it's,
On this lake you do.
Yeah. Yeah. You're gonna.
And especially if you're watching that boater throws a spinner bait or a crankbait or whatever, swim bait, whatever. And he rolls a fish. You know, he's obviously going to probably make 2 or 3 more casts
Yeah.
to it. But once he goes on, baby, I'm flipping something in there a
Yeah.
little bit slower.
Yeah.
I took a guy last Saturday. I don't bass fish the lake much, but I took a guy last Saturday, and he threw a spinnerbait up under a dock, and 2 come out at it.
Yeah.
I mean, one was a stud.
Yeah.
The other one wasn't bad. And he swiped at it, but he missed it.
Yeah.
And I said, grab that worm. And he threw that worm back in there. Boom. And he caught the 5, but the other one was over 8 that was with him.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Would you be doing shad patterns on stuff right now, or?
Yeah, mostly shad patterns, and you know, if you're in that dirtier water, some a little bit of chartreuse in there never hurts.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think the biggest thing when it comes to bass fishing is finding something that you're confident in. If you're not confident in a bait, you're not going to catch fish
I
on
think
it.
that's the same with crappie
Amen.
tournaments
Yeah.
too, you know.
You know, fishing with Brandon all those years down in Stockton, we threw a Carolina rig a lot.
Uh-huh.
I threw that little Z-Man, or not Z-Man, sorry, the Zoom Z-Crawl.
Okay.
Catch fish after fish after fish and go through 3 bags of them in a day. I have never seen him catch a fish on that bait. And I know with confidence.
Mm-hmm.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And it's that way with anything.
Yeah.
You know,
For sure.
deer hunting,
Yeah.
fishing, you know, whatever. But rolling into fall, I just had to have my wife bring me down a phone charger because the cell cams are running my phone batteries down. This cool spurt's got these
Yep.
deer on their feet, and
Yep.
it's going off like crazy.
Yeah. This morning was really nice. That first chill. There's been a couple mornings recently. What? So you guys, how old are you, Sean?
28.
28, and you're what? 26?
24.
24. Jeez.
He's actually old.
It's all right.
Hey, you should be me.
I thought you were older than that, Hunter. Jeez.
Nope, I'm a pup.
Okay, so how old were you when you caught your first fish? Do you think?
Oh, say probably when we were diapers.
Little.
I guarantee that
Yeah, they
one.
were little.
So
We used to. I used to live at the marina. That's where Hunter was born. Is the marina? I lived up above in that
Bucks.
Bucksell.
he was born at the marina.
Well, not at the marina.
You just said he was born at the marina.
That's where we lived when I was
Okay, well you
little,
just.
little bitty guy.
Okay, I was gonna say.
So that
Like,
dude
what
grew
the
up there.
hell?
They was in their little diapers and we had so many people there, the slip holders and stuff, and they'd walk the docks and they'd have on diapers and their little bitty yellow life jackets and Snoopy pose and catching
Yeah.
fish all the time.
Yeah.
The good thing was growing up there, when you got old enough and Dad didn't care, you just could jump in the boat with anyone and go fishing.
Oh, everybody took them.
Everybody did. I remember I was going with Jeff back in the day.
Yep.
Anybody just would walk down there. You want to go fishing? Yep, let's go.
They used to take Richard's boat, or my boat, my bass boat, or Richard's boat. I mean, these kids are 12, 13, you know. And then my kids and Richard would say, cut through to U Bridge.
Yeah.
That's it. Don't go past U Bridge. Don't go past the cut through. That's your zone.
Did we ever go past? No.
I'm gonna say,
You know, I had those good graphs back then, huh?
Yeah.
quick story. One year, Crappie Masters always had that deal for the kids. They fished the docks, and
Uh-huh.
Hunter's down there. I think it was Hunter that was down there fishing, and he's supposed to come around the judges and count their fish. Well, I was in the tournament, so my wife got to sit with him, and different people watched him. He was catching a little perch. The number of fish you caught was, the more fish, the
Yeah.
more prize. So he had a bucket full of fish, and the judges wasn't coming. He put them in a cart, wheeled them up the hill, and made them count them.
So did you win that?
I did.
He did. He won a bicycle.
Bicycle.
And,
Oh,
Yeah, I remember
and he
that.
give it to some girl or something.
Yeah.
wow. Schmoozing
He
those
must have been
moving
cute.
early, huh?
He
Wow.
did. He give it to that little girl.
That's pretty freaking cool. So what do you think, after all the years of fishing with one of the greatest fishermen on Truman Lake, what do you think is some of the best pieces of information you guys have learned from dear old dad?
Confidence is one thing. He always has it.
Yeah,
That's one thing he always has.
yeah.
And what else would you think? Boat control is the number one,
Yeah,
right?
that's the number one thing when it comes to fishing live scope and any type of fishing is boat control. You can't sit on that structure on that fish. You're gonna have a tough time catching it.
But he always has confidence in what he does.
Yeah,
That's one main thing, I think.
yeah.
He is an optimistic fella. I would say that.
Yeah.
I mean, before live scope and 360 and all that, you'd talk to him about his plan for the next day, And he'd lay there before bed for an hour and think about, okay, I can catch this many fish off this tree, then we go this tree, then this tree, and have it all mapped out, and then have a backup plan.
Yeah.
Jeff's
Most
probably
people
like
do.
this now.
Yeah.
But, like, he can lay in bed and just tell you, like, I get lost in like which way is north, south.
Right.
But he can lay there and like, Dad, where's this not gonna be windy tomorrow? Oh, this creek, this creek, this creek. I'm like, how does he know this? It bothers me, But he just being on the lake so much, I guess you get like that.
Optimism's good, from the guide life aspect, and I've taken guides all over. I mean, lots of guides, in the South and everything else, and it's always been my experience. Like when somebody gets on a boat and your guide's like, "Yeah, I don't know about this cold front. Got this big moon. I got this. Wind's gonna blow today. Rain's gonna move in about 9.
East wind.
Yeah.
You hear that a lot.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
you're just like, man, this guy is just not feel like he's already got my hopes down, and we ain't left the dock
Yeah,
yet, you know what I mean? Like I was pretty pumped, I lost sleep waiting on this trip,
Mm-hmm.
and so I learned that a long time ago, and I've learned that a lot from Richard over
Yeah.
the years, and that's one thing I've always
You
noticed.
said-
Don't make excuses
No.
before the trip starts.
In your mind, when you go to bed at night, and I sit a lot of hours and think, back in the day before, I didn't even have a graph. My graph didn't work. But I knew I could go to, say, McGinnis Flat, and there's like 3 trees. I could probably get 7 there. I knew that.
Mm-hmm.
And I could do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I could go to Possum Ridge and catch 8 there. And I could make that run. And then the next day, different wind, different conditions. You think, I can go here. And total different.
Yeah.
So you got to believe that you can catch them every day, and you can. That these fronts will booger them up. East wind will make them not want to bite as much. You still can catch fish.
Yeah.
You just got to have in your mind that you're going to catch 45 fish or 30 fish, however many you need that day.
Mm-hmm.
You can do it. And I always have said, and I've told many people, and they'd ask me, well, the guys this morning, what made you stop here? I said, you got to think like a crappie. And it's hard to explain.
How many times have we heard that?
That's hard, but truth. That's what I try to think like what that crappie would want to do. With that condition, and I do, and I follow that, and I've told many people, and they just think it's funny, but it's true.
Yeah.
Think like a crappie.
Yeah. Interesting. So let me ask you this, Richard: if either of the boys taught you anything?
I can't say I don't know that they've taught me anything, but I will say Hunter has learned a lot more on the upper end because
Yeah.
he spends more time
Yeah.
up there because I don't guide up there much.
Uh-huh.
He probably knows more holes on the upper end than I do, and he can. On Truman Lake, he can usually beat me in a tournament.
Yeah.
He really can.
That's recorded.
I try to outguess myself too much, and he's spent more time up there, honestly, and he's done his homework. And a lot of people think that these boys are good at what they do because of me, and I've taught them some.
Yeah.
They went out and learned a lot of this on their own or with Jeff. I mean, they spent time in their boat with Jeff, and not just me.
Yeah.
So they've learned a lot on their own, and I'm sure. But I don't honestly. I've not fished with either one of them for. Him and I fished a tournament last year prior, and we won it, and we boom, 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 button heads.
Yeah.
I made the right call, and he'll probably tell you. And we caught the fish and won.
Yeah.
That's the last time we've been in the boat together. And Ben Sean hadn't fished together.
We did.
for
We
what?
fished for my birthday one year. We put that trip in your book under a fake name.
Yeah, I remember
We
that.
showed- me and Grayson showed up with
Chase.
some,
Yeah,
but
Chase.
Chase, yeah.
Yeah, they got in my boat. I said, "What are you doing there? I got a trip in a minute." We are your trip. I said, "No, you're not." So I got my phone out and I said, "This number." Well, it was
like
Chase's
Chase's
dad.
dad, yeah, that's what it was.
I said, "You little shits." So I took him, but I don't get to fish with them much. So
Yeah.
I can't. They can probably both teach me something, but I don't fish with them. So
That
I
Yeah.
was
can't
something
say.
else cool growing up
Yeah.
was, everybody at the marina knew us, so being able to jump in, 10, 12, 15 different boats a year, we got to see how all of these other people fish, and we got to put that into how we fish
Yeah.
and how we think. And
One I always
places
think of is Marvin.
Yeah.
Marvin taught me a little bit.
Marvin's good, dude.
Yep, he was one of the greats. If I learned anything from Marvin, it was flip the tree first.
Yeah, flip to that tree and drink a lot of bush light.
Yeah, man, you could not beat Marvin to a flip.
No, you
I mean, you couldn't beat him to it.
He didn't have a long pole. He had a 7-foot pole. That tree's there. And, I always get up there. But if I was dipping back then, like his days, you pull him up there and let him all dip. Oh no, that blue and white jig is already
Oh yeah, precision. He can put that little jig just.
Was he? No, he was a bass guy too, wasn't he?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, so
One of the best.
and so he was an ex. Did he do bass fishing guide trips as well?
Yeah.
Okay, so he did crappie bass.
Yep.
Okay.
And he'd stay out. I don't like doing full days.
Yeah.
I get bored on a full day. 'Cause
Yeah.
usually you get your limit and then what?
Yeah.
He'd stay out 8 hours with him. I can't do that.
Yeah.
I mean, he would do it every day on a full day. Whew.
When did he pass? He's been gone for a while, hasn't he?
Probably 3 or 4 years ago.
Okay. Yeah, I never met him.
Yeah, there's one year there was a tournament out of Sterrett Creek. 2 tournaments. He fished one. I fished the other. He ran up above Buck
Bass or crappie?
is the bass.
Yeah.
And me and my partner run up above Bucksell. He was in one spot. We was almost in. We could see each other once in a while. The water was up and current, and I pitched out through a big camouflage worm is what it was called, big worm. Broke that fish off, and I picked up and ran back to the marina. Got new line, lined the reel, went back, and I caught one fish an hour.
This sounds like every other tournament he's ever fished. He still does this.
So Marvin Deckard was up above me, so we go in the weigh-in. Now 2 tournaments,
Uh-huh.
2 weigh-ins. He had 28 pounds something. This is a long time ago, and he won his tournament. And me and my partner had 25 or 24 something and won our tournament. That was in sight of each other, a mile apart or
Yeah.
so. In current, that's how big the fish were back then.
Jeez.
This is probably 95 or 6 or something.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah, but back then, I think Marvin Deckard and Steve Prince fished together, and then you had Fred Barracks and that Rich Sulzberger and Jerry McCutcheons. It just bags like that common every day.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no possibility that Truman could ever return.
I don't think it'll ever be that.
Yeah.
No. It's still a young lake and it's maturing, and as you watch it advance in the direction that it's going, it's not I wouldn't call it a bad direction, but it's not going to get back to that.
It's just so crazy because we have so many shad.
Silt.
Yeah.
Silt.
I don't think we got the bass. I know we don't have the bass we had because I don't see them on a live scope for one. But there's a tournament. I think it's in Florida, and when before they take off, the fisheries has got everybody a bag of stocked fish or fish to stock.
Yeah.
So everybody goes to their spot and they cut that bag and let them fish go. I think that's a very good idea.
Yeah.
You're restocking in good holes is what you're doing. You're not
Yeah.
dumping them all at the boat ramp or
Yeah.
off an old road. And I'd like to see them stock them again and get them back to where it was.
I think the silt really hurts what we are. The Grand is silted in so much.
Oh,
The Upper
terrible.
Osage is silted in. The Deepwater Arm is silted in. A lot of these good creeks. Everybody knows. When the water gets up and you run in Cooper Creek, get in the pits and everything else. But all that's silted in those areas and getting across and getting to some of those, it's gone. The old Barker Creek stuff, the Upper Tebow. The silt is just taking all that. And where it's pushed those fish, who knows? It could be lower lake and the deep stuff. It could be toward the dam. They had to go somewhere.
Yeah.
But I think that the silting and erosion has been really key to.
Yeah.
They say we don't have the spawning cover, but
Seems like the last couple springs, the lake's been 10 to 15 feet high, and there's been plenty of.
in the bush.
Plenty of cover.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I guess we'll
Well,
see how this weekend goes. Darren, what's your prediction before I say what Darren said? How much weight you think it takes?
I'm going to say someone's going to about 50 pounds.
Yeah.
I'm going to say they're going to have to have 2 15-pound days, and they're going to have to bust a big bag
Yeah.
to win it.
Darren was a little more conservative. I mean, I think he thought it might only take mid 40s.
Maybe.
I'm thinking mid 40s.
the
much
other
weight.
thing on the bass numbers is it was around 19 and 93, maybe ish 95, before we saw a explosion of blue cats. Used to, you didn't see that many blue cats. In the late 80s, early 90s, you didn't see that many blue cats. A lot of flatheads.
Yeah.
And then about the early 90s, after the flood of 93-ish in there, blue cats. And then it just, ever since then, it's just been rapid increase.
Did they stock blue cats though too?
I don't think so.
No.
they did a lot of studies on them. They tagged some in 1997. They tagged some with what was called Carlin Dangle tags. Kevin Sullivan tagged some in 1997, doing a study on them, and they just went, they just blew up. Now, whether that has anything to do with bass, I don't know. I'm just saying. We watched one go down and one come up.
I don't know. I've read some articles about managing strip pits for our lake out at the property, and it's talking about channel catfish eating the heck out of crappie eggs.
Yeah, crappie eat a lot of crappie.
Yeah.
Crappie is his own worst enemy.
Yeah. Well, and I just wonder, I mean, if it's the eggs that are getting eaten or if it's the little fry that are getting eaten.
Usually it's a fry.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, I guess we'll see. Guess we'll see what happens this weekend. It's going to be...
Somebody's going to stick them. I mean, that many boats, that quality of anglers, you know, there's going to be some sticks in there.
Yeah.
And even our local guys, you know, Darren, he's going to know what's up. Ryan, David's going to know what's up.
Yeah.
You know? And those guys are going to pull out all stops. You know,
Yep.
they're not going to say, well, we'll just try this. I'm just experimenting. They're not going to experiment.
Yeah.
You know, this is the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you got...
Hopefully Darren wins the thing and you buy me and Dad steak there.
I think, I mean, the Hibdons, I think there's some Hibdons that'll be fishing. Casey Scanlon, who helps out bassandbob.com, which is the equivalent of Truman Lake Fishing Intel in Lake of the Ozarks. Casey's a really good angler and really good on Truman.
He's been trying to get a catfish trip with me.
Yep, yep. So, I mean, there's definitely some guys that are going to put it to them. It'll be real interesting to see. I believe Toyota Series is out of Sterritt Creek, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. Compass is out of Bucksaw.
Yep.
I don't know about the other tournaments off the top of my head.
There's one out of Long Show.
Mine's out of Long Show.
Yours out of Long Shoal. Well, Hunter, you shoot some teal this past weekend or what?
No, I had that tournament Saturday.
Oh, that's right.
Sunday I want a day to sleep in finally.
Yeah.
I slept in.
So what do you not like to chase teal early or what's...
Oh, I do, but man, if you don't get on them real good. My buddies, I could have went with them. They shot them really good 2 days in a row, but I fished that tournament and that day I was wanting to sleep in.
Yeah.
You work all week up for it and fish tournament, I want to sleep in.
Yeah. So where's all your spots on Truman Lake for the ducks?
That's that.
Right in front of Shawnee Bend boat ramp.
Hopefully the water comes up. It'll be good.
Yeah.
He likes to hunt the weird.
Oh, yeah?
It's real good.
Yeah.
No, funny story. I've hunted, not the weird, but I've hunted down there on right there at Point One and some of those areas in late season when the upper end of the lake's been frozen.
Yeah.
Had some absolute smashes down there.
Really?
Yeah, because it's only open water.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah.
It makes perfect sense. You know, as far as, you know, we talked a lot about the fishing stuff, and of course, as you guys watch these and there's any topics you want to hear us talk about, I mean, be sure to write in, whether it's to people that are part of the Truman Lake Fishing Intel community or just the Truman Lake Fishing Intel page, send them in. But we also do a lot of hunting, so we like to talk about that stuff. Deer season starts in approximately exactly 3 days. Today's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday is the, I think I accidentally just flipped off the camera, 1, 2, 3. So Thursday is the 15th, and that is opening day of archery, and, you know, we're getting pictures. One thing I want to talk about, because I was really impressed, a lot of folks I know are hunters that are watching this. You probably run trail cameras. I've been using a lot of Tacticams for the cellular cameras, really like them. Use several brands, but I was really impressed with your stealth cams that are extremely, I mean, priced. They're reasonably priced.
$89, and you get the batteries and cards with it.
Yep.
Stealth camera.
But the great thing about it is the photos look extremely nice on the app.
Yeah, really good.
What pushed me away from Stealth Cam, because I used the Muddy Manifest, which are like a $99 camera.
Right.
Those pictures
Piece of
were
junk out
terrible,
of those too.
terrible pictures.
Muddy, if
nothing
you're out
like-
there watching, let's step it up a little. Most of the stuff you have to scrap.
Yeah.
Just say.
Take it.
Yeah. The Muddy Manifest is terrible. The Stealth Cam for $89. I don't think you can beat that.
It is a pretty good deal. I run a Manifest as well. I have one that's been a pretty solid camera. I do have a deer stand that I like, but my pop-up blinds and the other cameras, man, it's kind of rough.
Yeah.
I guess for the money, you get
Yeah.
what you pay for. But yeah, this stealth cam, I think the one I'm running is a Sonix, Sonix. Got it at Sam's Club. Comes in a big package. It's got all the batteries, got the cards, got everything in there for like $89.99.
Yeah. Yeah.
So does that send it to your phone?
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Yep.
It's been sitting here going off.
So do you have to pay for airtime?
Yeah, so you pay a monthly,
How
or
much is
you can
that?
pay it annual, but I pay for unlimited pictures for $15 or $10
For a month?
Yeah,
Pretty good.
yeah, and I only run it. You can run it. You can suspend it. You can run it.
You don't have to run it 12 months.
Mm-mm.
You can run it 6 months.
I only run it. Yeah, I only run it
Gotcha.
when I.
That'd be a pretty good deal.
Yeah. So, and they're pretty handy. They're fun. I think I'm having more fun getting pictures of the deer than I am
Right.
hunting them.
Yeah.
Well,
To
that's
be honest.
that's kind of what cameras have done for me the last several years, because the cameras are like my hobby within the hobby of hunting.
Yeah.
And it's really cool getting to pattern a particular deer and getting to know the deer so well that when you go out and sit and a deer walks out, you immediately know
Yeah.
which one it is, and you're prepared if that's a deer you're looking for or not. That's what I really like about it, and being able to track the history of the deer from year to year. So we have at least 4 bucks this year that I've been watching for 4 years. I can go back for the last 4 years of photos, and I can see clearly by the antlers, it's that unique. It's like the pattern of the fish. It's like the bass lateral line. Extremely unique to each deer, and you can see it as they grow old,
Yeah.
and that's really cool.
It's a lot of fun to get their pictures, and no harm to the deer, obviously.
Yeah.
But I find myself in preparation mode. I've been in more preparation this year than I ever have, because I'm excited, because I know there's action there. You know,
Yeah.
you're not just going out and rolling the old dice. I mean, it's fun, the anticipation of you never know what you're going to see. I get that, but at the end, people say, well, I don't like it because you already know that at 5:30 he's going to come out, blah blah blah, and you know what deer it is and this and that. But do you know?
Yeah.
I mean, the anticipation's always there.
Right.
They're wild deer that walk along, especially during the rut. I don't care
Yeah.
how many pictures you have. You're going to have deer that you've never seen before.
Well, the knock on the cell cameras is, well, you get a picture and you can, immediately go and you know where that deer is and you can go sit there and wait for him. Well, I mean, I've tried it, and there's no way in hell. They are long gone. I've got a picture that I shared on Facebook on my personal profile that this one deer and my dad ended up killing it. It always happens. Whenever I'm after the deer, my dad ends up being the one that gets it. But I had a picture, and I had been after this deer for several years. But there was this fall, it was 2 years ago, that I was on his trail. And on my Attach Cam app, you can see me leaving at about 11:30 in the morning, 2 minutes before I had crossed our dam. I hadn't checked my phone. That dang deer had crossed right in front of me. Literally right up in front of me. And I didn't know until I got in my truck and pulled up my phone. I had a notification. I'm like, son of a... Like, he was probably standing there watching me somewhere as I was leaving to go get lunch. I mean, it just... There's really the cellular cameras for being able to know exactly where they are. By the time you would even have a chance of getting there,
There's no way.
ain't happening.
No way.
So...
But it's fun, and we're getting in that transition time, and that's me. I'm fishing in the mornings, then I'm cutting trees off duck lake levees, mowing duck
Yeah.
lakes, getting ready to start either pumping water if it ever rains, cutting shooting lanes, hanging stands, weed eating trails. Just getting everything ready to go. But
I'll tell
I
you...
know we had a question from a visitor or a viewer.
We talked about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to make sure.
Yeah,
I didn't get
yeah, we got it with the crappie. We were talking about the transition of what the crappie we're gonna do.
Okay. I don't want to forget that.
One story that I have from yesterday. I normally like to take down the hang-on stands at the end of every year, so they're my safety lines, everything didn't get around to it this summer. So I had a few out that I'm moving this year, and I went to go get one, and it was that stand that I hit that big 8 that I couldn't find last year. And I'm climbing up. This one was like a really quick one hunt setup. I didn't have any safety lines or anything, but the seat cushion was there, and I go to unstrap everything, and all of a sudden a wasp just starts buzzing around me.
Uh-huh.
And I went to take my hat and just whack him. All of a sudden another wasp started buzzing around. I was like, what in the heck? Well, I started seeing underneath the seat of the hang-on stand there was a massive, like the size of my two palms together, wasp nest.
Ugh.
And all of a sudden, the wasp nest was coming alive. Granted, this was it was like 10 or 12 feet up, but it was in a real hurry that I took one step down and then I just bailed off the tree. This was yesterday. And I had to run because they were starting to chase me.
Oh yeah.
So,
And you didn't get stung once?
no, I didn't get stung
I would have got
once.
stung 27 times.
I didn't get stung once. And so, just word of warning, if you do leave stuff out, like I did, just be ready. You never know what you might find.
So where's that stand at?
Well, drive down 451.
Still in that tree?
Yeah, it's still in that tree. So I was going to go over there today, but I didn't have time.
I left my favorite muddy stand. I left it up. Over
the
there.
one I helped you with?
Yeah. Yeah, it's still up.
Well,
Got a
if,
cell cam on
if
it.
it's got that big padding on it,
No,
underneath,
no.
oh, okay.
Yeah,
That was the problem.
Millennium style.
Mine still had it's a big thick padding, and they laid their little nest underneath.
Tosh went up the tower blind the other day, and I was like, go up there, and I'm cutting down these willow trees. I'm cutting shooting lanes and everything, and she goes up, and I see her push the door open, and she turns and looks at me, and I can see her shimmying down, and there's a big wasp nest up in there.
Oh gosh.
They love that.
The Millennium Buck Hut. Did I tell you about that stand? Did you see those pictures? For $850.
Yes, yeah.
Instead of spending $3,500 on a redneck blind, it's a soft-sided canvas blind.
I think Everhart said that.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
did. We
pretty
got two. We just set them up. I'm for $850. I'm incredibly pleased.
I'd like to have one. And at the end of the season, you can take the outside off
Yes.
and put it away.
Correct. So that there's going to be more of those in our future.
I like it.
I would say. When are you going to be? Get serious early November, late October.
Man, it'll be mid-October when I get done with the Nationals, get back in, and hopefully to be in the house, and then I'll hit it hard. I've got 3 stands in the woods, and I was supposed to go get them out. And told the owners, and I said I'm going to get my stands out there. And it's all self-climbers, so I'm going to say that the squirrels have eaten every seed off
Yep.
of them. Still out. 3 different farms, 3 stands, and I guarantee you, all I got is metal.
Yeah.
That's all I got left.
Yeah. Yep, I believe it. Sean, do you do much of the duck or deer hunting in the fall?
A little bit of duck hunting and quite a bit of deer hunting on the rifle side.
Yeah.
I do bow as I can.
Yeah.
I took off the whole deer season last year for rifle and saw 2 decent bucks the first morning. Thought I'd wait. And
Yeah.
never saw another decent deer the rest of the year.
Well, Grayson, didn't he get his first buck this past year?
That was the second one.
one.
Oh, it was the second one.
Oh yeah, he's got 2 on the wall. As long as they get bigger, but that's the rule. Is got to get bigger. So I've paid for 2 so far. So yeah, he's a pretty good shot with that 6.5 Creedmoor.
You need to bring him over here and look at that wall right
Yeah.
there and be like, that's what you're going for.
Yeah,
You can have a Grayson Wall of Fame.
yeah, he will because he will get a big one this year.
Well, it's going to be tough for you to top what you got last year.
Oh, I won't. I mean, I've killed 2 bigger than that, but that's years ago and luck. And if I kill a big buck, I spend a lot of time in the woods, but it's not because I patterned that deer. It's not because I know that deer was there. I don't spend much time. We had cell cameras out 2 years ago. Never got a picture of a good deer.
Oh,
So I kind of got ruined on it, know?
Yeah.
And because I had to go pull a camera and cars.
Yeah.
And just, I don't know. If I kill one, it's because I spent enough time in the woods and one come by me.
yeah. Now, one thing, when you talk about spending up, you sit all day a lot,
I
don't you?
I used to sit all day from daylight till dark.
That's why you don't go hunting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I run him. I do. I don't have to kill a deer. I love to sit, and I've got good hunting ground. I do. I get to see a lot of deer, so that makes it better. I don't never see anybody, and I love to sit and just watch deer, and just squirrels or coons, whatever, and just. I'm always taking care of people and telling them, up, down, down, left, left, right.
Right.
Now that I'm sitting in the tree, it's nothing.
Right.
I love it.
Yeah.
Probably my favorite time to sit in the ground blind now is with Grayson or like 2 years ago, the 2 boys, Grayson and Lynette, was in the blind.
Oh my God.
I mean, we're all sitting on each other's lap, but I want to be there on his first hunt. Killing a buck. He's
Right.
knows.
Right.
Man, this buck come out, and it was. I mean, you put that many people in a little pop-up blind. But man, was it fun! And he killed that deer. That was his first buck, and it was absolutely one of my favorite hunts.
You had to have a hell of a large.
And we had
ground ball.
It wasn't a big one. I'm
We
talking.
we couldn't move. He was hopping laps, but we couldn't move.
Shoot out that one. No, you get back over here. He did that big dude then, and yeah, he made a good shot and he killed that deer.
Wow.
That was fun. I had the whole family in
Yeah.
there, and you know that's youth season, so it's usually a week or two prior to gun season. So we're hunting, but for ourselves too, wanting to see what out there and hope he kills a big one. And boy, this one came out and he made a really good shot, and I think it got him. Yeah, he's dead. So the whole family gets to walk up there together, and that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that is really, really cool. So how big of a buck does he got to kill this year to be able to get it mounted again?
Well, he got an 8-pointer first year, you know, just a deer.
Yeah.
Then a 9-pointer. So this year it's got to be a pretty good one.
And so when will it graduate from the points to like the score?
Pretty quick because I'm running out of money. I think we got as a family. I think we've got 21 deer on the wall, and I think they're all in Sean's house right now in his basement.
Oh my gosh!
And
And they're all on the wall? Or
A
is it-
couple of them are on the ping pong table.
Oh my gosh!
He's
We're
got-
out of space.
He's
Yeah.
got some of the big ones hanging in his living room, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I like mounted deer and I like to hunt big deer, but you know I might go 8-10 years without killing a big
Yeah.
buck.
Yeah.
Which I like eating deer, so I will shoot those.
Yeah. Well, we got a lot to look forward to here over the next couple months, and
For now, for the next 4 months is my favorite time
Yeah.
of year. Yeah.
yeah. When do you think it's going to be where things start getting really nuts? I mean, is it going to be into September, early October, or what's the timing?
I'm going to say with the the warm weather coming, I'm going to say the end of September.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the water temperature should really start.
When it starts cooling off, the feed bags are coming on, and then look out.
Yeah.
Then you can do 10 trips a day.
Yeah. Wow.
Ugh.
Well, I ain't going to, but at least one.
Well, I don't know if you guys have anything else to add or anything else you wanted to share info on, but I know in the future we are going to do a video where it's just the bowling boys, and we're going to just tell bowling fishing stories for about an hour, hour and a half. And
We got a few.
We get to argue and might have to meet.
it's all right. We got the software to bleep it out if necessary. So if you guys want to see that and you have questions that you want us to ask, write those in, and it should be a really fun, super fun
It'll be a
conversation.
good time.
Yeah. But I think we've covered enough for tonight. Really enjoyed all of you guys being here tonight. One more time, Hunter Bowling on my far left, Richard Bowling for Richard Bowling's Guide Service, Jeff Falconberry, Endless Season Guide Service, and Sean Bowling. If you guys want to book crappie or catfish trips, Richard's newly offering gar trips as well.
Hey, I can touch on that. I am thinking about doing that.
For real?
For real. I will not clean one.
Yeah.
You can drop on with that live scope. You can put it right on the bill.
I mean, I saw him catch 3. or hook 3.
every time you
Yeah.
want to drop on one. But you got to make a good drop, and the fight's on for a long time. And if you don't really horse them, let them come up, do their thing. They come up, they'll either jump or just open their mouth, and the hook comes out.
Yeah.
Now I would love to do that.
Yeah.
And I will do a guard trip. But I'm not cleaning it.
Yeah. Not
Yeah. I had a guy Friday, we were pulling in, and I was like, I'm going to catch some of these big shad right here, and there was fish coming up everywhere, and I was like, they said something about those fish, and I said, oh, they're a bunch of buffalo, and he was like, buffalo? Hotback buffalo? I said, yeah. He goes, man, I can those things.
Know that guy.
I said, well, we can get you some if you want. He said, you think you can catch some? I said, every throw.
And he got some.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. So the premier no, they're not alligator gar. Premier gar
Spotted gar.
spotted-
Long nose and short.
yes, premier spotted and long nosed gar guide on the lake. The one and
First.
only. Yeah, the first and last, Richard Bowling. So there you go.
I think it'd be fun.
Yeah. I mean, I saw him hook 3 real easy, and I was having to spend too much dang time on the phone that morning, so I was sitting there.
I was catching crappie.
Yeah. So that was a good time. But anyway, thanks a bunch, guys, for watching. Thank you to these guys for coming and talking fishing with us. Thank you to Nini's Italian Steakhouse and Anglers Port Marine for helping to make these possible. And thank you to you guys for being members of the website and helping us to keep this thing going year in and year out. Until next time, we'll catch you guys on the next one.